Often we say, वो मेरे जैसा ही उसका ख्याल है, मेरे जैसे ही बातें करता है। वो बेवकूफ़ बनाने की कोशिश कर रहा है शुरू-शुरू में, बाद में कुछ गाड़ी उल्टी ही चलेगी सी। He's trying to impress that I am thinking like you, I am resonating with you, but बाद में असली कलर बाद में पता चलता है ऐसे।
When one is giving positive vibes to someone, behaving well with him or her, but that person in return is constantly giving back negative vibes, how does one deal with such a situation?
Well, this is a problem in our daily life. You know, just because someone behaves bad, who is never in our check or never in our control, you cannot expect anything from other person, but at least you expect the best from yourself, and you are in total control of yourself. You see, in love relationship, क्या होता है? See, especially when two guys, two individuals are loving each other so much, there is some sort of a resonance. No? Only when hearts are not close, when the hearts closes down, they remain at a distance from each other, and that's why there's a need to scream and shout because you're so far from each other, even though you may be sitting next to next, your next door perhaps, but you keep on shouting when the hearts are far apart, you see. Now, what to do under such circumstances? Never give up. We cannot give up. The river that keeps flowing has to keep on flowing. See? The river of love that comes from our heart has to continue to flow. Suppose if it decides, the river decides, आज मैं नहीं जाऊंगी, कहीं पे भी नहीं जाऊंगी, रुक जाना है, तो क्या होगा? It will become a pond. And in no time, it will become filthy and dirty. It will start smelling. Same thing happens to our heart. When we close our heart just because somebody betrayed us, our heart becomes heavier and sad. And it's not good for your own individual spiritual growth as well as people who are associated with you.
Is there any spiritual significance of soulmates? How can one recognize their soulmate?
This is a really, 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 really tough one. Okay. Instead of, many people they ask, Sir, can you tell me if she's suitable for me? Will I be happy with her? But then my question, I would just turn around and ask, why don't you ask her whether she'll be happy with you or not? Right? We often try to blame other person for our happiness, but we have never thought that my behavior, my thoughts, my habits, my way of life. Suppose I meet another person with exactly same habits the way I have. Would you marry that person? Hmm? Because you know how dirty you are, how filthy you are. And if you find somebody like you, you're going to run away. If you happen to know that he's exactly like me, then you'll say, oh my God, I can't handle myself and there is another idiot who has come in my life. So, of course, there is no doubt that there are soulmates, right soulmates. See, if you understand this idea of creation, and when we think of Atman, Babuji Maharaj mentions in Towards Infinity that when we were all separated from the source, Earlier, it was the Adisakti that was prevailing before the creation, right? After the creation began, the flow of current started to descend. The main current became part of the human mind, right? What is this current? Current is not because of one type of charge. Current has to have positive and negative. Okay. Now imagine, will the positive go straight and negative will go straight? It cannot. It has to, like a DNA structure, it has to cross each other. Same thing happens with electric current, they cross each other, positive and negative. Now imagine Purusha moving this way, Prakriti moving this way. Right. Now imagine you are on one of the helical structure, one of the dots, one of the Atman. Many dots makes these lines. Imagine you are one of the dot. The one which is in the beginning and one that is coming after 10 foot away in that flow of energy versus the one which is exactly opposite you. You are Prakriti, another exactly opposite to you is Purusha. They will have the matching vibratory level. But the one who is here and one who is so far, far away, they will never have a matching vibratory level and they can never become soulmates. But it's very difficult to identify that, how to identify my parallel resonance. It's impossible. And often we say, वो मेरे जैसा ही उसका ख्याल है, मेरे जैसे ही बातें करता है. वो बेवकूफ़ बनाने की कोशिश कर रहा है शुरू में, बाद में कुछ गाड़ी उल्टी ही चलेगी सी. He's trying to impress that I am thinking like you, I am resonating with you. But बाद में असली कलर बाद में पता चलता है ऐसे. And I have not found any exception to this rule because everybody is trying to impress the other person in the beginning. And which is a sad thing actually. Don't try to impress. Be natural with each other, especially when you are trying to establish a relationship and trying to establish a family where you're going to live your life for another 60, 70, 80 years together. So choose your partner wisely, not because he or she is very rich or she is very educated. No, person who love each other. And other person who loves you more, marry that person.
Daji, I want to ask you if you have any message for all the youth who are watching you today and from all over the world.
Recently, I was having an interview with Kabir Bedi. I think a lot of you might be familiar with this film personality. And I asked him the same question. How did you spend your time so far with this pandemic? Because you're not acting now. You're almost like retired. He said, no, I'm not retired. I do work, but I don't go out these days. Then what do you do with this pandemic? You and your wife all alone in the house? He said, look, all my life I had been having this itch to write a book. And I found my passion actually materializing during this pandemic. It was perfect time for me to put my thoughts down and write a book. So what is your passion? Youth without a passion is a burden to himself or herself and to the society also. You must have some drive. Drive to do something. Find what is your drive. And try to fulfill that. I'm not just talking of education. Of course, it's important. But besides that, what is it that matters the most to you? Try to achieve that during this pandemic. We have a lot of free time at the moment. Write, read, learn music if you like, explore other arts and creative sciences. You must read. You must enrich your spiritual vocabulary. You must read science. You must read fantasy. You must read romantic books. You must read all kinds of literatures, be it Islam, be it Sufism, be it Christianity, be it whatsoever you like to explore. This is the time. And if I had to begin, even at the age of 12, suppose if I was 12-year-old today, and I reach my complete 90 years or so, even then, I will not have enough time to complete all the holy literature that India has produced.